Hello YouTube, this is Michael Kazmierski Dunn, and welcome to episode 36 of the Blind Piper Reacts series. So, a couple days after I discovered Carly-Ann, which was the last episode I reacted to, one of the things I do, because the coolest girl in the world, Haley, and I are a member of a Facebook group called Love Classical Music. And basically we talk about just what it says, people who love classical music. And Haley actually invited me to that Facebook page. I didn't discover it on my own. Haley invited me to that. But I was surprised she didn't invite me to the Perfect Pitch Facebook page. Anyway, I actually discovered that page on my own anyway. Each day I tried to look up what happened today in classical music history before Haley possibly beats me to it and posts it on Facebook, in which case she'd probably get other people hitting love way before me, which is Domro. And by the way, Domro is one of the worst opera singers I've ever heard. Her vibrato is absolutely terrible. And speaking of opera, this was actually on September 27th. One opera singer that was born that day in 1940 was an English soprano, and her name was Josephine Barstow, Barstow, or maybe more like Josephine Barstow, because that's how English people would pronounce it, Barstow. Yeah, I'll just say Barstow from now on. So Josephine Barstow. She was born in 1940, and a lot of the sopranos that this page that lists what happened each day in classical music history, they list sopranos, but they don't have any recordings. So that day I looked up Josephine Barstow, and I'm like, wait, does she have any recordings out? And I was lucky to find, well, I hate to say it, but a lot of her recordings had tenors in the background, and because I wanted to add to my big, hot female voices collection, there are no male voices allowed in there. So if the piece has a tenor part, no matter how small it is, or a bass part, that's not going in there. So unfortunately, I had to dig through a lot of pieces that had other voices in the background. And it was very hard to find solos, like pure solos. But I managed to find about 9 to 10 different solos, and I'll put these solos in the description. And what I love about Josephine's vibrato is the fact that, in addition to a pitch variation, like one of my favorite opera singers, Denise, also British, she has this big volume variation in her vibrato. So not only the pitch varies, but the volume also varies, like up and down. And to me, that just gives a real dimension, like more of a realism to her vibrato. And I don't know how to describe it. I've heard a lot of I hear that in a lot of horse whinnies, where they have not only a pitch vibrato, but a volume variation in their vibrato too. And so I guess I don't, because I've been loving the sound of horses ever since I was little, so maybe that might be an effect. So I think what I'll do is I'll react to two different songs by Josephine Barstow. And keep in mind she was born in 1940, but even when she was in her 50s, her voice was still absolutely amazing. And that rarely happens with most opera singers. Like, look at Denise Leigh. Her vibrato went a lot slower in, 2019 when she was almost 50. Let's see. A lot of opera singers retire at that age. But J.C. Barstow, her voice is like, holy Mazzillo. And if you guys don't know who Mazzillo is, he's the best Italian bagpipe maker in history. I'll put a link to him on his I'll put a link to a recording of him in the description so you can hear just how great Mazzillo's instruments were. But when I heard her voice, even when she was in her 50s, I'm like, holy Matsuro. So I think what I'll do is react to a couple of pieces by Josephine Barstow. So the first piece that I discovered was her version of Vici d'Arte. And that was, it's by Puccini, and the opera is called Tosca, if I'm pronouncing it right. The first person who I've ever heard sing that piece was Leslie Garrett in 1998, recorded in 1998. Josephine Barstow was recorded in 1990, so she was 49 or 50, because she was born in September of 1940, so, hang on, let me find it real quick. Okay. Now, keep in mind she is 50, or roundabout 50, so don't expect like a hot vibrato on every single note. Some notes have a slower vibrato than others, but just to warn you. So here we go. Josephine Barstow singing Vici d'Arte from 1990. And I'll point out when her vibrato gets really hot. I absolutely hate to say the word sexy, but when you're blind and can't see anybody, I hate to say it, but I'm going to be honest, that's my equivalent. Instead of she looks hot, for me it's she's got a hot vibrato. So, yeah. Kind of slow vibrato there. There we go. That note there. Not much of a volume variation just yet. Here's where it starts to happen. You notice how the volume moves up and down with the pitch? Just like Denise Leigh. She's gonna hit a high note momentarily. Whoa. What a hot voice. Holy Matsuro, Josephine. Now, my laptop speakers vibrate. Like, my laptop vibrates with high notes, so it sounded weird because they were vibrating, so pardon that. Whoa. I would have to say you sound a cross between Denise Leigh for her volume variation and Abby Fischer, because Abby Fischer had really tall vowels, just like Josephine Barstow does. Whoa, that's like, I guess you could say Abby Lee? Doesn't sound quite as good as Denise Fischer. Denise Fischer does not quite sound as good as Abby Lee, Leigh. Whoa. Again, keep in mind, she is older, so don't expect a hot vibrato on every note. Like, that's hot right there. Right there, that's hot right there. She's gonna hit a high note there. That's kind of slow. That's a wobble vibrato. Really, that is slow. But because she had a hot vibrato in most notes, you know. yeah, keep in mind, because she's in her 50s, don't expect her to have a hot vibrato. It was interesting. She had a hot vibrato on her low notes. Let's see. I think I'll see if I can find her first solo recording that we can find. Hang on. I lost where the files were. So this is kind of a distant recording from 1975, but this is taken from Ida, and she was... Okay, so 1940, 56, 35. Oh yeah, that's pretty hot right there. Actually, I think I hear combination of three different voices. The vibrato of Denise Leigh, the tone of Abby Fischer and Maria Callas. Hopefully it's not too distant that you can still hear her vibrato. Keep in mind, this was from the 70s, and I think it was a video too, so not just audio, so I think the quality might be a little, less than I wish it were, but just deal with it. At least she's noticeable. At least her hot vibrato is noticeable above the orchestra. So that's good. It's pretty quiet now. Oh, that's hot. I don't know what British people would say instead of... Maybe they do say hot, but... Josephine, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to look up some British phrases to see what hot means in the British slang. Oh, that's hot right there. Huh. Even in 1975 it slowed down a little. But it's pretty consistent. It's a pretty consistently hot vibrato. In this recording at least. And she still sounds, I really think she still sounds like, has the vibrato of Denise Leigh and the tone of Abby Fischer and Maria Callas. But yeah, that's basically, Josephine Barstow, and, yeah, her vibrato is like, oh my gosh. Well, obviously you can't really expect a good vibrato now, because I've actually heard a recording that she did in 2018, and her vibrato is literally like Domro. And I do happen to have a clip of Domro. She's actually singing the end of Visudate. Notice how slow this vibrato is. This is actually very bad for the voice. Really bad for the voice. Hang on. Stupid idiots. I wish they were sent to jail for this. They don't give a domrel about what I'm doing here. So they think of any way they can to try to distract me. So... But this is Domro here, and basically this is basically what current Josephine Barstow sounds like. Notice how bad that vibrato is. Most opera singers think that's how opera singing normally should sound, but that's not how it should be. That's bad opera singing. That's not good opera singing. So if that's all that you've heard in the opera world, hate to say it, but you've only heard the bad opera singers. The good opera singers have a more, I guess you could say, vocally dexterous vibrato. Just like Denise, Leigh, Josephine Barstow, Abby Fischer, Emma Matthews, Joyce DiDonato, and the numbers are getting smaller and smaller as less and less people go into the opera world, and more people have bad wobble vibratos. So, yeah, that's basically a taste of Josephine Barstow. And again, I'll put the links that I promised you in the description. And if you're new to this, feel free to hit like and subscribe and comment all you want. And join me for episode 36. And join me for episode 37 of the Blind Piper Reacts series. Alright, have a good day, everybody.